one thing. Tell me
So-
everything, but don't spoil it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unsolicited Book Reviews podcast, where we will keep it fun and keep it gay. I am one of your co-hosts, Scott.
And I'm KP.
And we are so excited. This is our second episode of our podcast, and I don't know about KP, but I am super excited to really get into this podcast and share it with everybody.
Absolutely. It was so fun talking about books with you last week. I'm excited to keep doing it every single week.
I know. I mean, I could just talk about books every day.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, so first up, let's talk about our last reads. KP, you want to go first?
Sure. I am super excited about my last read because it was a 5-star. It's a YA book. I have it here. Have to take it to the library tomorrow. It's called Alondra, and it's by Gina Femia. Sorry if I said that name wrong. It was so much fun. This one, I had a big smile on my face the whole time I was reading it. It's about these kids who are starting up like a backyard wrestling troupe. So it's like WWE style wrestling, but they do it on the playground of their neighborhood. It takes place over one summer. They're teenagers, so it's like the summer between junior and senior year. And it's just so fun. It's all about like just being a kid for a summer, living in the moment, not worrying about anything else. So I had a blast with it. There's a lot of really real emotions in it as well, but mostly it was just pure fun to read.
That's great. What did you say if it was adult or young adult?
It's young adult.
It's young adult. Okay.
Yep. It's
That's
all
cool.
teenagers. Like, I think they're all 17-ish years old.
I tell you what, man, I really enjoy reading young adult every now and again. Not just because it kind of allows you to revisit your inner child, I guess, or inner teen, but also like I think it's a palate cleanser. I read a lot of what murder-esque. That's the best way to put it. And so young adult for me is just sometimes I just need a break from, people dying.
Yeah, absolutely. And this one was just that. I think a lot of the young adult that I read, and I think you do as well, is a lot of like figuring out yourself. And sometimes that can be just as deep and heart-wrenching. And while there were heart-wrenching parts of this book, it really was just like a bright, happy, remember that you're a kid once and you should just enjoy it while you got it. So
Yeah,
if nothing else, it made me feel like a kid again for the time that I was reading it. So it was a lot of fun.
that's awesome because we're both in our 30s now, so I would really love it if I could be a child again some days.
Yes. Yep.
Adulting
And
is
even
stupid.
if you're not into wrestling, this one is a lot of fun.
Good. I have a question for you, actually.
Yeah.
So young adult, there are some, adult readers out there who think that young adult is too young for them. What do you have to say to
Well, I would never want to yuck somebody's yum. So, it's that's tough. I've had this discussion with certain people who just say like, "Well, I graduated high school, so I'm kind of over that." And that's fine. Respect to you. If you don't want to experience that and read that, that's totally fine. There's some genres that I don't want to pick up either. But I do feel like in general in the world, adults can learn so much from kids. And I think in reading young adult, there's a lot of that aspect as well, not to get too deep. But I think there's also the sense that, like this one, it's just fun. And for me, reading is a lot about escapism. And young adult does that for me, especially when it's more of just a fun read.
I agree. I know, like, there are plenty of genres that I don't like to read. Like, if it's purely romance, it's not my jam. Um, or really high fantasy. Like, if I need a glossary to fully understand the story, I probably won't read it, especially whenever it's like 1,000 some pages. That just seems scary to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think young adult is also good for me because I don't always have the longest attention span. So when I see a book or somebody's recommending a book and it's like 800 pages, I'm like, that right there alone makes me kind of like, I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to pick that up. I'm totally past the phase of like, ooh, I can read the biggest book in the class. I just want to read what's fun
Yeah,
and enjoyable for me. So
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
times that's YA.
Yeah, I agree. And a lot of the YA that I read is really queer. And
Hmm.
so because I can relate to it, and it's kind of nice to have that escape into your teen years and kind of live vicariously through certain characters because some of them have better experiences coming out than others have
Hmm.
had,
Yeah.
me
Yeah,
included.
for sure. For sure. And this one definitely there were some queer aspects to it. Um
Woo,
yeah, so
that's great.
that's another bonus obviously for me.
Yes, yeah, we love the queer. We love the
Yes.
gay. Keep it gay. Uh,
Yes.
okay, so I read the third book in the Adam Binder series called Deadbeat Druid. It's by David R. Slayton. I finished that trilogy, and one word to describe the entire series was consistent. The whole series was just very consistent. You know how whenever you read like a series or a trilogy, there's going to be like one or two books that just kind of flops.
Mhm.
um, Unfortunately, there are some out there, but this did not. Like, I just felt like each book was very, very good. And the characters were fun. At times, like the romance is a little sappy, but that's okay. Uh,
Mhm.
I really enjoyed this one especially because the other books took place in like the real world that meets like a magical world. So the first book kind of at the beginning takes place in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and then it moves to Denver, Colorado. And then the second book takes place purely in Guthrie. And then this book actually takes place in hell. So
Ooh.
that was a lot of fun. So at the very end of book two, okay, spoilers ahead, guys. At the very end of book two, one of the characters, or actually a couple of the characters, uh, accidentally get pulled into hell. And one of those characters is the love of our main character. And so, of course, he has to go and rescue him. So it's very fun to kind of see the different layers of hell, and you really get to see more layers to certain characters that popped up in book two. And so it was a lot of fun. I love magic. I did mention that e- I'm not a big fan of high fantasy, which this isn't. It is very like modern reality with magical elements. I really enjoyed it, and I've I'm a huge fan of Slayton, and so I'm very excited to see what else he comes up with. I'm horrible at describing books, which is so funny because I'm doing a podcast about describing books and I'm a
You know,
librarian.
I was thinking the same exact thing when I was trying to describe mine. So, we're doing great.
Yeah, I just, I want it to sound fantastic, and I think I'm focused too much on that. Like, I'm just gonna say what I feel or what I'm thinking, because otherwise I'm gonna want to come up with these like flashy words and really blow your minds and blow your socks off with my description. So let's
Yeah.
just keep it less formal, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And I think it's that quote that's like people won't remember what you say, but they'll remember how you make them feel. I feel like that's how I feel about books. Like I can't remember half the books I've read, any of the plot points or whatever, but for the most part, if you show me a book cover or tell me a book title, I remember "Oh, I love that," or "Oh, that one made me feel really happy." "Oh, what made you feel happy about it?" "I don't know. I read it a year ago. I don't remember that long ago. I don't remember the book I read last month." But, I remember how it made me feel. So kind of like what you're saying is you want to talk about it so that it's razzle dazzle, but you know, we do what we can.
Exactly. Yeah. We're just gonna do the best that we can. Like you, my memory isn't that great. So just do whatever we can and just kind of talk about how much we love books. I think that's the whole point of this podcast.
Yeah,
Uh s-
absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I do have a question if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um about I don't remember the title. See? Memory's great.
Deadbeat Druid?
Yes. So this is the third book. You said this one is the first one that takes place not in our reality.
Yeah.
Um was that world introduced in books 1 and 2?
So not hell, but they do. Some of the characters will go into the oh crap, what is it called? Like the other world, sort of like the magical world. Like they're beyond the veil, and so they will get transported. Everything looks the same, so they could be in Oklahoma City, and then they go through the veil. And there is Oklahoma City, like they can still see, the buildings and things like that, but there's magical creatures flying all over the place, and so it's a little bit different. And that's kind of how hell was. So they went through like Albuquerque and things like that. So they could see different cities as they traveled into the deeper, darker places of hell. But they saw
Did you
demons.
Are you saying that Albuquerque is hell?
No, I'm not.
I mean,
No,
I
I'm
lived
not.
there, so no comment from me, but
I am not saying that. I'm just saying like
is that
that was one specific town that they went through. They
okay,
also
okay,
went through
separate
what.
from hell.
Yes, separate from
Got it,
hell.
got it, got it,
So
got
it's
it.
like beyond the veil. So it
Okay.
looks similar to our world, but there's going to be demons and ghosts and things like that, and magical creatures. So I think why hell kind of resembled that is as the whole like ghosts whenever they die they are walking west toward this giant body of water, and whenever they step into the body of water then they move on to the afterlife, and so
Oh, very cool.
seeing uh these like recognizable landmarks and things like that I think can kind of help them move on as they're making their journey. The only bad thing is there are demons, and some of them will like to capture humans and feed off of them, or well, ghosts feed off of them. They feed off of their fears and things like that. One of them turns into what looks like a giant hotel, and so each person in that is in a or each ghost, I keep saying person, I mean they're dead, each ghost that is inhabiting a room is really just being fed upon by this demon who's getting stronger and stronger,
Okay,
and so they're in the maze.
very clever demon though.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so it's
Huh.
stopping them from moving on, and they slowly start to forget themselves a little bit, and so they
Ooh.
can't tell how much time has passed. And yeah.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. But
Oh.
yeah, it was a lot of fun. And the main character is gay, and so his the love of his life is bisexual. And then the elves and things like that that are the main character's friends, and um, they I don't think they have a sexuality really. I think they could go any direction because they're immortal basically, so they live for
Fair.
hundreds of years, so I'm sure they've swung both ways.
Well, yay for bonus gay points.
Yes, exactly. Keep it gay, yes.
Woo!
Just like your background.
Yes!
I love it.
Thank you. I
Yes.
painted it myself.
I know, I remember you sending me the pictures and I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know what that voice was, but we'll bring
I
it back
think
later.
that's your "This is amazing" voice.
This is amazing. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, what about your current read, KP? What are you
Okay,
reading now? I know
don't
you've
judge
been
me for this one.
okay.
I just this morning started Paris Hilton's memoir.
Nice. Okay. Okay. So,
And
how is that?
I am very early on in it. I kind of have gone into it with really low expectations. But already I'm learning a lot that I didn't know about her. She had kind of a messed up childhood. Um, and it's so far it's kind of a downer. I was
Oh,
expecting like a happy, fun little like this is my party life. I went to this party and I went to that party and I'm friends with this celebrity and I did this TV show, but so far it's actually like deep and real and hitting feels and
interesting.
yeah,
I
not
know
what I was expecting, but I'm excited to keep reading it actually.
I know that was a big thing with Ashley Simpson's memoir that she wrote that came out quite a few years ago. Well, I don't quite a few, but a few years ago. And, people have always considered Ashley Simpson to be kind of a ditzy blonde.
Mhm.
But I know that many people really enjoyed her memoir because it was very deep and really looked at, all the bad things of her childhood and life.
Interesting. Well, now I'm gonna have to add that one to my list because I haven't read that yet.
I haven't read it
But
yet either, but I've
Ashley
heard good things.
Simpson was the soundtrack of middle school for me, so
Right.
I'm
Right.
probably gonna have to read it.
Yeah. I will eventually get to it. Nonfiction is not always my forte, but yeah, I do enjoy a good memoir, especially if the audiobook, because if it's read by
Yes.
the person, then I think it's even better.
You literally just took the words out of my mouth because I was about to say so far the best part about the book for me is that I'm listening to it and it's her reading it.
That's
And
awesome.
again, I love especially with memoirs, I love hearing the author read it because they're able to put the emotion and the inflection into their telling of the words that wouldn't necessarily get picked up just from reading it. So I love that added little aspect. And bonus is that she's not reading it in her like over exaggerated Paris Hilton voice. She sounds, it's obviously her voice, but she sounds a little bit more real.
That's good. I mean, then that means that readers are definitely going to connect more if she's being authentic and real.
Yeah, it's so far it's very authentic, very real.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
I may have to add it to because I mean Paris Hilton was a big part of my world growing up. So MTV, VH1, all of that. So that's how I was exposed, and then like her friends with like Lindsay Lohan and things like that. So all part of my childhood. So maybe you'll have to let me know if she goes into some of those party days.
She did just tell this one part about the backstory behind. I don't know if you've seen the picture of her and Britney Spears and Lindsay Lohan, three up in the front seat of her little tiny sports car. It's like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
kind of an iconic photo, and I've seen it as like a sun shield. Is that what it's
Okay.
called? Where you put it in the windshield? It's
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
like and people print funny pictures. Well, I've seen that one on cars before. She just talked about the backstory of that photo, so that was interesting.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll keep you posted and let you know if it's worth the read.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Thank
What
you.
about you? What are you reading?
Okay, so I am reading The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This this author really I don't know, kind of became one of those go-to authors for me, and I've only read one book by them. And the first one that I read was No Exit. And
That's what I was thinking. That's who I thought it was. Okay, okay.
you've read No Exit, right?
Scariest book I've ever read.
Isn't it so
Yes.
creepy? Oh
So
my
good.
goodness.
It's so
Uh,
good.
it's so good. I don't know if anybody out there has read it, but you need to because it is a wild ride. And it is a wild ride from the very beginning to the very end. I
Mhm.
think like the last maybe like minute there was still shit happening.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Like that I've never gasped out loud more while reading a book. I have never had a literal jump scare where I jumped except for reading that book. Like I've never had one from a book. Movies, sure.
Yeah. Oh
That
yeah.
book made me jump out of my skin. Yeah. So
Yeah.
scary. So good. Anyway,
Uh, yeah,
so
but
this is another book.
yeah, this is another book by Taylor
Obviously.
Adams. Yes. So No Exit was. I'll give you a little bit about it. For those who haven't read it, there's a girl in her 20s. She is driving across country to go to a hospital because her mom is not going to make it. And so there's a huge snowstorm in Colorado, and she has to stop at a rest stop. And whenever she's about to go inside, there's a white van that she parks behind or beside, and she sees a little girl locked up in a cage in the back of the van, and she doesn't know who the car belongs to because there are, I think, four other people in the rest stop or something, like four or five. And so
There's enough
yeah,
that there's lots of suspects.
yeah. So she's like, I have to rescue this little girl, but I have to be, secretive because I can't let the person know who it belongs to. Can't let them know that I'm trying this. So yeah, it's a crazy, crazy book. But this is, I think, even creepier because you and I love to read.
Creepier?
So yes, creepier. So
Ah!
I'm
Okay,
only like
okay.
halfway through, but
Tell me everything, but don't spoil it.
okay, I won't spoil anything. So this lady, her husband passes away, and she just completely stops living. And so she could be homeless, but she gets hired to stay at a lake house and basically house sit for this person during the off season. And so she spends her time reading ebooks, just all day long, and to keep herself distracted. And a lot of them are, books that you would get like on Kindle Unlimited, free or whatever, or really cheap, like 99 cents. And her neighbor, who's an older man, they play hangman through the window. They both have telescopes. And so they have a whiteboard to where they can see it. And so they'll like play hangman, and that's how they communicate, is just through a whiteboard. And it's very cute. Uh,
I can't decide if it's creepy or cute.
okay, well, it,
But maybe it's just because I'm coming at it from like a creeped out
yeah,
perspective. All right,
yes,
we'll say it's cute.
yeah. But he recommends a book to her that is like Murder at the Lake, or Murder at the I don't remember what the title was, but she absolutely hated it. Like, it was a god awful book. The book was written from the point of view of the killer, and the characters besides the killer were just very flat and stereotypical, and things like that. And so she writes a 1-star review, and it's a very scathing review of the book on Amazon. And the author contacts her on Amazon and says, you need to take that down because you're affecting my livelihood. And she sticks to her guns. She's like, no, I'm not going to take it down because other readers, they need to, see other people's experiences with the book. And they're like, I'm going to give you one last chance. Like, you take it down now. And she's, no, no. Well, then some weird shit starts happening.
Uh-oh.
She starts seeing a man standing in the bedroom, and she starts hearing
In her
noises.
bedroom?
And in the bedroom at the lake house, yes. And then there's one night in particular. It's actually toward the beginning, like it gets the ball rolling, just like No Exit did. And the motion light goes on, and she's looking out the peephole. And you know how it's kind of limited sight, like a peephole is, and so
Mhm.
she can't see anybody on the porch or anything on the porch. And so she's thinking about unlocking the door. She's about to, and then she decides not to. Well, the next day, the lady who owns the house has, camera outside, like the doorbell camera, sends her a video of a guy
Stop.
in a like devil mask
Ah!
standing on the porch. He was standing like just out of sight of the peephole. And and
My
so I
worst
just
nightmare.
right? And so I just got to one part in particular where it's like the next night, and somebody knocks on the door in the middle of the night. And it's kind of sounds like her next door neighbor. And he, oh my goodness, there was, he's an older man. Like, there's somebody in my house, and I ran over here. I called the police. Can I come inside and wait, with you until the police come? And then she like realizes that's not him, and she says, I know you're not, I can't remember the neighbor's name. I know you're not him. And then the voice changes, and it's actually the author. It was like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm giving you one last chance to take it down. And she's, like, fuck off. And he's like, well, I guess reality or story is going to become reality. And she's like, what do you mean? Well, my next book, Murder at the Lake House.
Ah! Okay,
So
okay. What is this one called?
it's called The Last Word. It just came out this year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
it's
is
so freaking good.
getting expedited near the top of the list.
Yeah, it's so
Near
good.
the top of the list is still like 50 books, but still.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. My TBR is forever growing. I think I have like 600 books on my TBR on Goodreads. So.
Oh my gosh.
But I also have like over 600 read. So
Yeah.
Brush your shoulders off.
There you go.
Feel good about yourself. But yeah, it's super creepy. And I've never written a scathing review. I have given books, 1 star, 2 stars. And I would never review it unless it's something like, this book wasn't particularly for me, but I can understand how other people would enjoy it. And so just to kind of explain, why I gave it a lower review. But I can't imagine, because there are some people out there who give just scathing reviews of books. So can you imagine like an author, coming after you and trying to murder you?
Don't get any ideas in case anybody writes a scathing review for you. Don't get any ideas.
I have already received one.
I don't think the audio quality for this podcast would be great if we're filming with you in prison. So
that's true. So we won't talk about my negative reviews. But I've gotten to the point where I don't really care. Like, I'm just happy that I actually accomplished a dream and wrote a book.
Wrote a book.
I wrote a book. I can actually say that. It's in the Library of Congress, guys.
Yes. It's also in my public library. It's in your public library. Yeah. So that's awesome.
So
speaking of scathing reviews.
Okay.
Should we boot some books?
Yes, let's boot some books.
Oh yeah.
Yeah!
No.
Okay, everyone, it is time for our little game of Buy, Borrow, Boot, which is similar to Fuck, Marry, Kill, but with books. Both KP and I, we picked out books from our own, not our own. I picked out 3 books from KP's Read List, and then she picked out books from mine. And we don't know what they are, so we're finding out for, while you guys find out. And then we have to decide which book is a buy, which book is a borrow, and which book is a boot. So KP, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I will. I'll go first, saying books on your list.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
I'm ready.
I have The Lake by Natasha Preston.
Okay.
The Holdout by Graham Moore.
Okay.
And This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Motar.
Okay.
Again, sorry if I'm butchering people's names.
No, I'm horrible with names too, so I completely understand. I don't need Goodreads this time. Like I was about to grab my phone and like look up the book Goodreads just to see if if I needed a refresher. But I do remember all of these books, and I think it's much easier than our last episode,
Okay,
for
good.
me at least. So the Holdout is definitely a buy. This was a fantastic book. It's about a jury who years ago were on a, well, in a court case, obviously. And they make a decision on a murder case, and the person goes to jail. Well, years later, they one of the members ends up getting killed, and so they realize that maybe they I'm doing a horrible job. They realize that maybe they didn't actually convict the right killer. So it's a kind of cat and mouse game with the lead character trying to figure out who the actual killer was, and who's actually killing the jurors.
I
And
agree. I agree with I have read that one. That one I agree is a buy.
yeah, it's so good. Yeah, I
Like
was
I want
really
to do a
impressed.
reread of this one when I picked it for the list. I was like, I got to reread that soon.
Yeah, definitely. And the author is actually like a award-winning director, I think,
Playwright,
and
right?
playwright. Yeah,
Or
So this
screenwriter, playwright, or something.
screenwriter, yeah, something like that. And so this was his first novel, and so I was very impressed with it. Okay, so the lake. No, wait, hold on. This is how we win the time war. Will definitely be my borrow, and then the lake will be the boot. I had to read "This Is How We Win the Time War" for a queer book club here in called the Reading Rainbow Book Club, and I thought it was okay. Like it was queer, lesbians or two female characters. They were in love, and uh, they were traveling through time, leaving each other, notes and things like that. And it was weird, but it was definitely more enjoyable than the lake. In my opinion, I was very disappointed. Like at first, it was a very solid book, and then the ending just ruined it for me. So I'm not going to give it, but I was like, this is oh, I don't want to leave a bad review. But to me it wasn't great.
Okay, that's
So
fair.
yeah. Okay.
All right.
So
What you
for
got for
your
me?
I think I picked out some that are going to be very difficult for you.
Ah, okay, I'm ready.
Just kind of payback for last episode. Okay, so Dark Corners by Megan Golden, which is the second in the Night Swim series or
Rachel
whatever.
Crawl. Yeah.
Yeah. Girls Like Girls by Haley Kiyoko, and then
Okay.
the It Girl by Ruth Ware.
Uh, okay.
I had fun with this.
Yeah, this is mean. um. Wow, this is really tough. I think the It Girl is going to be my boot.
Okay.
Not because in a different lineup, I don't think it would be a boot.
Okay.
But in this lineup, I gave Dark Corners and Girls Like Girls 5 stars each. So those are both 5-star books for me. So for that reason alone, The It Girl, I'm sorry, Ruth Ware, great book, but I have to boot it. I think Dark Corners is going to be my borrow.
Okay.
I loved it. It was so good. I love Megan Golden, and it's a great book. I don't know that I see myself rereading it,
Okay.
but an absolute definitely read at least once.
Awesome.
So that's my borrow. And then Girls Like Girls, it was so good. I love it. I read it a month ago maybe, and I'm already ready. Like I already have it on my want to reread list. So it was a really enjoyable read. based on the title, and the book is based on a song, I thought it was going to be like a really happy-go-lucky book, but that book definitely made me cry multiple times. Like, it hit a lot of feels. Um, so yeah, that's my buy.
Okay, I'm gonna have
That
to put
wasn't so
on my
bad.
list. Okay, good. Well, so I didn't, sabotage you or anything. So that's
For a second there, it felt like a sabotage, but
yeah, because I
I
picked
came
out
out of it.
two 5 stars and a 4 star.
I know.
Yeah, because I think you kind of did the same with me last week. It was like
I did.
two 5 stars or something like that. So
Yep, I sure
yeah.
did.
Okay, guys, we are going to go into another new section or new segment for us called Book Related Questions. So we are going to answer a few book related questions that we see on social media and try and answer them to the best of our ability. So first
And we're going to go as rapid fire as possible.
Exactly. So what is your favorite genre?
All right. I just said we're going to go as rapid fire as possible. But you know what? I've always been a little long-winded, and I can't pick just one thing. So I have 3 favorite genres.
Okay.
Sapphic fiction, mystery/thriller, and memoirs.
Awesome. Okay.
How about you?
I love those. Horror, and not whore, but horror.
Good distinction.
Yeah. Psychological thrillers, and then queer lit.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, I love to be scared. So what is your favorite book of 2023 so far?
All right, I want to say In the Lives of Puppets by TJ Klune, but if you listened last week, you know that we already fangirled way too much about that book. So instead, I'm going to say Tuesday Mooney Talks to Ghosts by Kate Raculia. Okay. And my other favorite is A Million to One by Adiba Jagirdar.
Okay, awesome. Mine, definitely In the Lives of Puppets so far. But like you said, we already, gave it glowing reviews last episode. So I chose that one, and then Look Closer by David Ellis, which is a psychological thriller, and it's just freaking fantastic. It unravels like an onion. Let's see.
Yeah, okay, I added that one to my list after last week.
Awesome. Yeah. It was just freaking awesome. So many twists and turns. What is the last book that made you cry?
The book I talked about earlier, my last read, Alondra.
Okay. Mine was In the Lives of Puppets. So
okay.
I did crack a few tears.
You crack a few tears?
What does that mean? Shed a few tears. There we go. Crack. My eyes literally
like cracked better.
They cracked open.
You might want to get your tear ducts checked.
Yeah. If your eyes are cracking open, folks, maybe you should go see an eye doctor. God. So how do you prefer to read books? Paperback, hardback, audiobooks, or ebooks?
So as I said earlier, memoirs, I want to listen to them, especially if they're read by the author. But otherwise, I really like holding my Kindle and reading my books on a Kindle. Okay. I like turning pages, but I've dropped enough books on my face when I'm laying in bed reading at night with the book over my head that Kindle is just better.
I agree.
And my little life hack is to put a pop socket on the back of the Kindle.
What?
Even better.
Oh my God, that changes everything. I'm going to have to do that. I love that you have visuals. I don't even have the book to show.
And the sound effects of the pop socket.
ASMR pop socket. Okay, so
what about you?
I prefer audiobooks just because I don't always have a lot of time to sit down and read. And so I do a lot of traveling between libraries because I may work at one location most of the time, but I have to travel to 5 other locations throughout the month or 4 other locations. Sorry. So I can just plug it into my car and listen. So I love that, especially if the book is too long. I cannot focus on a long book by sitting down and reading it. I have to listen to it. And then my next favorite would be ebooks. Similar to you, I mean, it's just so convenient, and you can have multiple books on there. It's so much easier than carrying around, a stack of hardbacks or paperbacks, in my opinion, and it's
Yep.
easier to hold. So if you're laying
Yeah.
down, you don't get a face full of book.
Yep. And I especially love, like, with the Kindle app, you know, I can read it on my Kindle, but if I'm out and about and I forget to grab my Kindle, I'm sitting at the doctor's waiting room, I can pull it up on my phone. It's synced to where I left off. It's great. We're not sponsored by
Exactly.
Kindle, but if they would like to sponsor us, hit us up.
Heck yeah, we will. I love what do you have a Kindle Paperwhite? Or do
I
you have
have
a tablet?
a Kindle.
Just a regular
I don't know, whatever this one is.
I think it's a Paperwhite. Yeah, it's just an e-reader. It's not like a tablet or anything. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, yeah. So Kindle Paperwhite. I have an Oasis, and it's a little bit wider, and it has like a little divot, sort of, to where it kind of sits into your hand.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, so I got that. I traded in my Kindle Paperwhite and went for that. So
you don't need the pop socket. It's kind of the handle is built in.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But I may try the pop socket because you can pop that out.
Changes everything.
It changes everything whenever you can pop out a pop socket. How many times can we say pop? Okay, well, folks, I think that is the end for us. We hope that you all enjoyed today's episode. Visit the link in our bio if you would like to purchase any of the books that are mentioned in today's podcast or previous podcasts. If you purchase through our bookshop link, proceeds will help support independent bookstores worldwide. So make sure you do that. And then also make sure to like, share, and follow us and subscribe. You can follow Unsolicited Book Reviews on Instagram at UBR Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram at Scott_the librarian. And then you can follow KP on Instagram at NinjaPurtle80. Ninja Purtle, PIRTLE 80. Okay, folks. Well, you all have a good one, and we can't wait to entertain you with the next episode.
Woohoo! See you next week.
See you next week.